Hey there, my fellow anglers and fishing fanatics. Welcome back to the channel, your go-to spot for honest, real-world fishing forecasts and tips that actually work. I'm your host, and I'm super excited to dive into what's shaping up to be a truly fascinating week for fishing across the United States. We're talking about the period from September 22nd to September 28th, 2025. This week, friends, is going to be a roller coaster, and if you know how to ride it, you're in for some serious catches. We've got a new moon transitioning into a waxing crescent, a mixed bag of autumnal weather, and fish that are feeling the urge to feed before winter truly sets in. So, whether you're hitting the coast or a quiet inland lake, stay tuned, because I'm going to reveal some crucial insights and surprising opportunities you won't want to miss. This week might just be one of those memorable ones, balancing challenges with rewarding bites, especially for those who pay close attention to the details. All right, let's talk tactics for some of our most beloved species across the vast and varied waters of the USA. First up, the mighty largemouth bass. As we slide deeper into September, these green giants are starting to feel that fall feeding urge. Water temperatures are cooling in many areas, pushing them into a more aggressive state. So, where to find them? Look for them transitioning from their summer deep water haunts to shallower cover-rich areas. Think outside weed lines, submerged timber, rock piles, and especially points leading into deeper water. They'll be ambushing baitfish that are also moving. My go-to for this week would be a spinnerbait or a chatterbait worked along those weed edges in 4 to 8 feet of water, especially on overcast days. If the sun is bright, switch to Texas-rigged worms or jigs pitched into heavier cover. Early mornings and late evenings are prime times for topwater action, so don't be afraid to throw a frog or a popper around lily pads and emergent vegetation. Remember, the key is to cover water as they'll be scattered, but actively hunting. Next, let's head to the coast for the ever-popular striped bass, or rockfish, as they're known in some parts. This is prime time for the fall run in many coastal regions, from the northeast down to the mid-Atlantic. What does that mean for us? Baitfish, and lots of them. Peanut bunker, silversides, and anchovies are thick, and the stripers are hot on their tails. Where to look? Focus on tidal rivers, bay shorelines, and coastal inlets. Estuaries and river mouths where currents funnel bait are absolute gold mines. Also, don't overlook reefs and rips in slightly deeper water, especially for those bigger fish. On what to catch them? Live lining spot or eels is incredibly effective if you have access to live bait. For artificials, jigging with soft plastic paddle tails or bucktails is a killer strategy. Early morning and late evening topwater blitzes are common, so have a popper or a walk-the-dog lure ready. If the fish are deeper, large soft plastics on jig heads or even vertical jigs will get the job done. Keep an eye on bird activity. Diving birds often mean stripers pushing bait to the surface. Now, for those panfish lovers, let's talk crappie. As the water cools, crappie will start schooling up and becoming more predictable. They'll move away from their deep, summer patterns and often relate to structure in slightly shallower water. Think brush piles, submerged trees, bridge pilings, and dock structures in 8 to 15 feet of water. They'll be feeding on small baitfish and insects. The best tactic for crappie this week will be tight lining small jigs, 1/16 or 1/32 ounce, tipped with a small soft plastic grub or a live minnow. A slip bobber rig is also fantastic for presenting your bait at a precise depth. Focus on the edges of the cover, slowly moving your boat or casting around the structure. Don't be afraid to experiment with jig colors. Chartreuse, white, and black are always good starting points. Crappie can be finicky, so slow and steady retrieves are often the most productive. Finally, for our friends on the Gulf Coast, the redfish bite should be strong. With water temperatures in the Gulf still on the warmer side, often in the mid-80s Fahrenheit, redfish remain active and hungry. They'll be found in shallow flats, along wind-blown shorelines, and in sand pockets near mangroves. Look for them tailing in shallow water as they root for crabs and shrimp. Cut mullet or live shrimp are top choices for bait. For artificials, weedless spoons, soft plastic paddle tails, and even topwater lures early in the morning can be incredibly effective. focus on areas with good tidal flow, especially during outgoing tides near marsh drains and creek mouths where bait is being flushed out. Oversized redfish might require a bit heavier tackle and bigger cut baits, especially around jetties and deeper passes. All right, my friends, let's break down the conditions influencing our fishing this week from September 22nd to September 28th. First, the weather. This week we're looking at a classic autumn transition across much of the United States, but remember, the USA is huge, so local conditions will always vary. Generally, we can expect daytime temperatures to be quite pleasant, mostly in the mid-70s to low 80s Fahrenheit in many areas, especially the south and west. Northern regions might see highs closer to the 60s Fahrenheit. Nights will be crisp, dropping into the high 50s or low 60s Fahrenheit, signaling the approaching colder months. Atmospheric pressure will likely fluctuate. We'll start the week with fairly stable conditions, but anticipate a passing front around the midweek, bringing a drop in pressure and potentially some scattered showers. Wind will be variable, some calmer days perfect for stealthy approaches, and other days with moderate breezes which can often trigger a bite by creating a chop on the water and concentrating bait. Precipitation forecasts show mostly dry or light scattered showers early in the week, with a slightly higher chance of more significant widespread rain towards Wednesday or Thursday, followed by clearing skies. This means that after any rain, dropping pressure and increasing runoff can really turn the fish on. Now for water temperature, this is a critical factor in the fall. In the southern US, particularly the Gulf Coast, water temperatures are still holding in the mid-80s Fahrenheit. This means fish like redfish will remain active in the shallower flats. As you move north, freshwater lakes and rivers are seeing a gradual cooling trend, with many major systems likely in the high 60s to low 70s Fahrenheit. Areas like the Mississippi River Basin are experiencing above normal temperatures, which can affect water levels and fish behavior, sometimes pushing fish deeper to find cooler, more oxygenated water. In northern states, lakes are already feeling that autumn chill, with temperatures likely in the low to mid-60s Fahrenheit. This cooling is fantastic for triggering aggressive feeding behaviors, especially for species like bass and crappie as they stock up for winter. Always check local water temperatures if possible, as even a few degrees can make a big difference in fish activity. And what about the moon? This week, we're starting right after the new moon on September 21st. So, from the 22nd to the 28th, we'll be in the waxing crescent phase, heading towards the first quarter on the 29th. In the fishing world, the new moon and full moon phases are often considered prime times due to stronger tidal movements and increased gravitational pull, which can influence fish activity. While we're past the peak of the new moon, the early waxing crescent phase can still be excellent. Many anglers believe that the days immediately following a new moon, as the moon begins to show more light, can be very productive. Fish often feed more actively during periods of low light intensity, and a thin crescent moon keeps the nights darker, which might make for better daytime feeding in some scenarios. It's a period of increasing light, which generally corresponds to increasing fish activity as the week progresses. Finally, let's talk about the general biological activity of fish across the USA in late September. This is a fantastic time of year because many species are in a transition period, moving towards their fall feeding frenzies, or what we call the fall bite. For migratory species like striped bass on the coasts, the fall run is often in full swing, with fish actively chasing bait. Freshwater species like largemouth bass, smallmouth bass, and crappie are also becoming more aggressive as water temperatures drop and they sense winter approaching. They're trying to pack on calories, making them more willing to strike. Catfish remain active, often found in deeper channels or near structure. Salmon and trout species in colder waters are often getting ready for spawning runs, making them very catchable. However, some species, particularly those sensitive to sharp changes in weather or pressure, might become a bit finicky for a day or two around frontal passages. Overall, the trend is towards increased feeding activity, making this a prime time to be on the water. Now for the daily breakdown, so you know exactly what to expect each day this week, from September 22nd to September 28th, 2025. On Monday, September 22nd, right after the new moon, I'm calling for a good bite. We'll likely see stable pressure and pleasant temperatures with a very thin waxing crescent moon. Fish, especially bass and stripers, will be active, shaking off any post-front lethargy from the weekend. Focus on active presentations. Tuesday, September 23rd, the bite will remain good to excellent. Temperatures will be comfortable, and the waxing crescent moon will be slightly more visible. Expect a strong morning and evening bite, with fish actively chasing bait. Pressure should still be relatively stable. A great day for topwater. Wednesday, September 24th, I'd rate the bite as average to good, potentially a bit finicky in some areas. This is where we might see a slight dip in pressure or an increase in cloud cover, possibly bringing light scattered showers. This change can sometimes make fish hesitant, but often just before a frontal passage, they'll feed aggressively, so keep an eye on the barometer. Thursday, September 25th, could be a day of average fishing, potentially leaning towards poor. If a significant front moves through, expect increased chances of rain and a noticeable drop in pressure. This can put fish off, sending them deeper or into tight cover. Adapt your tactics to slower presentations and look for protected areas out of the wind. Friday, September 26th, we should start to see improvement, moving from a poor to an average bite as the weather clears behind the front. Pressure will likely be rising, and temperatures might be cooler. Fish will slowly start to reactivate. Focus on deeper edges or sunny spots where they might be warming up. Saturday, September 27th, is looking good for fishing. With stable or rising pressure, clearer skies and cooler, crisp autumn air, fish should be back on the feed. The waxing crescent moon will be more illuminated, and this post-front rebound can often lead to a fantastic bite, especially for predators like bass and stripers. And finally, Sunday, September 28th, looks like another good to excellent day. Conditions should be stable, and fish will be actively feeding ahead of the first quarter moon. Enjoy the classic fall bite. It's a great day to be on the water, experimenting with different lures and techniques. Well, my friends, that wraps up our fishing forecast for this exciting week. I truly hope this helps you plan your trips and put more fish in your net, or at least get some great battles on the line. Remember, every day on the water is a good day, and adapting to conditions is key. So grab your gear, pay attention to the details, and I wish you all tight lines and ni kvosta ni cheshwi. No tail, no scales. May your coolers be heavy and your memories be even heavier. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Smash that like button if you found this forecast helpful, and ring the notification bell so you never miss another video. And please tell me in the comments below, what are you planning to target this week? What's your go-to fall lure? And what's the craziest weather condition you've ever fished in? I love hearing your stories and insights. Until next time, stay safe, stay fishing, and I'll see you on the water.